Was Mary Magdalene a priestess? Was she a sex magic priestess? Was she a sinner who became redeemed? There are a lot of conversations around who Mary Magdalene was, and the underlying thread that I see around this is people are fascinated. Mary Magdalene is a really big topic, and a lot of people are talking about that. And a lot of people, because they're talking about that, obviously they're really drawn to her. There's something underneath that people are really drawn to. And so I'd like to offer one explanation on one thread of why I think people are so drawn to her. And why I think people are so enamored by Mary Magdalene is because it actually shows a deeper part of us in her, or it mirrors seeing her and researching her is like a mirror for seeing ourselves and diving into a really, really deep mystery of who we are and how our soul works. So let's just say that the biblical interpretation of Mary Magdalene is a possibility, okay? From a neutral standpoint, what can we see about this? That there were 7 demons that Christ banished from her. Now, I understand how people right away go to, saying that women are bad and that there's a stigma around women, and, we're actually these like magical embodied priestesses that resurrected Jesus himself. Let's just take a breath and understand initiation science. Okay, so if we can open our minds to just one thread of this, what if those 7 demons were attached to Mary Magdalene? What does that really mean? Well, in the spiritual world, we know that possession is real, and demonic attachments or lower entity attachments do happen. They happen to everyone. We incarnated on earth with wounds, with lower impulses attached to our astral body, which is basically like a beacon for the lower entities to attach to. And so it's saying that, yeah, the reality of being a human on earth with wounds, with things to heal is true. And my thought around that is, why is that so bad to think that Mary Magdalene was kind of like us, right? And she had attachments. Like, attachments are a real thing. Attachments can even be thoughts coming into your mind that are negative or even disturbing, and you think they're your own. Are they? Or are they an attachment? Addictions, different diseases, not all the time, but those types of things can be low entity, dark entity attachments. And now when we go into spiritual anatomy, we know that we have an astral body, an etheric body that imprints on our physical body. So our astral body, which houses our soul, houses all of those imprints, lower impulses, desires, egotistical actions and activities, selfishness, scarcity mindset, sexual urges that are purely based on like instincts, that the animal instinct. These are all imprints on our astral body that we need to do the work to overcome, to let go of, to transubstantiate in our body. So in one sense, it's really actually beautiful to see that through Mary Magdalene, through the idea that maybe she had lower entity attachments. It can be humbling if we see in ourselves through her, like as a mirror, that, yeah, that's a reality for each and every one of us. And that we're not God, and that Christ is here to help us and to remove and to renew our spirit, our spiritual bodies. So it's actually really humbling and kind of a wake-up reality check. But the story goes that Mary Magdalene was redeemed, right? That Christ banished these 7 impulses, these 7 demons from her, which I'm sure we can all relate to overcoming something, an addiction, a bad habit, a relationship or a friendship, or just a way of being that was really dragging us into a dark spot in our life. But we can see through Mary Magdalene's story that as she ingested Jesus Christ, as she ingested Christ's teachings, right? She let his teachings work upon her. We can see that at the end, after the crucifixion, that she was the one to see Christ resurrected. Well, what is that? What does that say? Well, obviously he's not in a physical body anymore, right? He's in a spiritualized body, his resurrection body, his glorified etheric body, which is spiritual. So that means she has a level of clairvoyance, right? She can see into the spiritual world. So can we not see our own initiation, development through her, and where we need to get to, and where, if we take Christ into our own being, if we work with him, if we ask him for healing, if we live with awareness, if we heal and do all these lovely things to better ourselves, can we see ourselves in her story arc? And this is a teaching on initiation science in human development, in human evolution, where we are imperfect here. And we need to know that we do have an astral, an etheric, and a physical body, and an I, which is the Christed spark within us, the potential for our higher self, to be born into our higher self. And so in spiritual science terms, what we can actually see through this story, if we, take back the glasses on just being in defensive mode because we want to paint a different picture about Mary Magdalene, like whatever. There is gold and so much life in this one thread about Mary Magdalene that we can take from that, whether we think it's true or not. So we can see from spiritual science that entity attachments and lower impulses, all of that stuff is real. It affects us. We live a different sort of life. We have different thoughts. And all those attachments are imprinted on our astral body. So it is our job and our responsibility to know this and to work upon ourselves with Christ to overcome all of these lower impulses and desires. And in doing this, we actually purify the astral body. So purity and purifying in the Bible and just in general, it doesn't mean suppress and get all weird and, you know, people thinking that the Bible is just suppressing women because of the word purify. No. Come on, it's spiritual science. So as we're healing, as we're working upon ourselves, we're actually purifying our astral body. And through this process, we begin to regain spiritual capacities, such as clairvoyance, such as seeing into the spiritual world. Because think about it. If our astral body is polluted with a bunch of, you know, dark crap, dark impulses, if you actually like envision kind of like an egg, a clear crystal egg, and then put on like goop and a bunch of stuff, it's not a clear crystal egg anymore, is it? And it prevents, you know, if we're standing inside the pure crystal egg and it's splattered with all this goop, if we try and look out, we can't, right? So that's like us trying to look out into the spiritual world. We can't. So we need to pull back and take off these lower impulses and all the stickiness and the crap that's attached to our astral body from this lifetime, from numerous past lifetimes, until it slowly becomes crystal clear again, which takes lifetimes. This isn't going to happen in one lifetime. That's really important to know. And then through this, we gain the capacities that we did have at one point, which is to see into the spiritual world objectively, to actually see what's beyond this physical veil. And we see this with Mary Magdalene, that because of the work that she did and really ingesting Christ and his teachings and having that work upon her, she was able to perceive the Christ in the spiritual realm, in the etheric. So this teaching about Mary Magdalene is about our own soul initiation, our own human initiation. So I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments, any thoughts, musings, any additions that you'd like to add. That would be awesome. That'd be so great. And until next time.